Well, good morning. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. Really glad you could join me today. It's a nice day here in late April. Well, anyhow, I'm out here in my potato patch and I wanted to plant some Adirondack blue flesh potatoes. So I'm really glad you could join me today. So anyhow, before we get started, I just wanted to give you a little perspective of where we are in my garden. There's my strawberry patch that I planted them a couple weeks ago, the early glow. And then over there is where I'm going to be planting those potatoes today. And then also there on the left, I planted some of the other type of potato, the red Norland potatoes. And so let's go take a look at those. So this row here on the left is where I planted the red Norland potatoes, and you can start seeing them come up already. Let's go take a closer look at those. So I planted these March 29th, as you can see. And so let's just pan over here. You can see them starting to come up already through the soil. And so I'm really looking forward to having some nice potatoes in a couple months. So before we get started planting these potatoes, let's just take a few minutes and talk about these Adirondack blue flesh potatoes. They are deep purple skin with solid purple flesh. They're large oblong tubers with consistent dark blue flesh that hold their color when cooked, and they're also high in antioxidants. You know, being my wife and I are plant-based now, you know, we've experienced amazing results in our health. And you know, the potato and the rice, the starches are our main fuel source for our healthy living. You know, the potato has been maligned over the years by the industries. You know, potatoes are extremely high in nutrition. They're high in vitamin C and potassium. You know, what has given the potato a bad name all these years is you add butter to it and bacon bits and sour cream. That's the unhealthy part of potatoes. And so we're looking forward to growing some potatoes, and we just love harvesting our potatoes. But anyhow, the potatoes grow best in well-drained, fertile soil with a pH of 6.0 to 7.0. Potatoes can be planted early to mid-spring as they tolerate cool soil and moderate frost. Plant seed pieces 2 to 3 inches deep, 12 inches apart in rows 30 to 36 inches apart. And plants will emerge 2 to 3 weeks later. When the plants are 6 inches tall, hill them by mounding soil from each side of the row and about 4 inches high along the base of the plants. And then repeat the hilling process as plants grow up until the hills are about 12 inches high. Hilling protects the developing tubers from greening. And so let's go over then about the harvesting of your potatoes. You can harvest the small new potatoes at the beginning about 7 to 8 weeks after planting. So that's about 7 to 8 weeks after planting. You can dig into the bottom of the hill and grab some small potatoes, or the new potatoes. And that's what I do when my snow peas or snap peas are also mature. I get some new potatoes and then your snap peas, and you just have a delicious meal. And then the main crop of tubers can be harvested in the fall. You know, after the foliage has died back, leave the tubers in the ground for 2 weeks to set their skin. And then dig them up and brush off the soil and allow the skins to dry before storing. And then you would want to store your tubers in a cool but not freezing, dark, humid place. So anyhow, let's get started digging and planting these tubers. So anyhow, these are the tubers here, the Adirondack variety. And what I typically try to do is I get there when it's early in the season so I get some good pickings, because I like my tubers to be nice and small, like about a little bigger than the size of an egg. and that way I don't have to cut them. You know, cutting them is okay, but it also possibly subjects them to disease of some kind. And so I generally like to pick them nice and small. So let's start digging, and I'm going to grab my hoe and start digging for these potatoes. I'm just going to take my 3-inch hoe here and work down this mound a little bit further. Again, you want to plant these about 3 inches deep. And so this hoe here really makes it nice and easy. It leaves a nice trench for the potato. And then I'm just going to work this right down to the end of the row. Now these potatoes I use here, these are actually certified seed potatoes. I get them from a local Ace Hardware store. End up paying 59 cents a pound here. And I try to end up picking the small ones, the size of like a little bigger than an egg. And then, so also what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take some of my alfalfa pellets and sprinkle them right down the trench. Like so. And so adding them to the soil is going to add some nice, well-balanced nutrition. They have a nice NPK of 322, and it's also going to offer some nice slow-release fertilizer. So simply what you're going to do is just take your potato, and I just eyeball mine about 12 inches apart, and just work your way down the trench. Again, nothing real difficult. Now what I'm doing is I'm planting these. I actually have mounds of wood chips that are a couple years old, and so this is what I'm planting mine in here. And then you just want to work your way down the trench. So now that I planted my seed potatoes, I ended up getting, there were 28 seed potatoes in my 5 pounds of potatoes that I bought. And so they're basically all laid out in a row, and then I'm ready now to backfill. So I'm simply going to just take my long handled rake and just gently then push about 2 inches back over the soil, over the potato, and then just work your way down. Again, nothing real difficult. Planting potatoes are actually pretty easy to do. And then you want to just take the back end of your rake and just pack it down a little bit, your soil, firm it up again. And then you'll also want to get your watering can and water these in really nice. And you know, keep an eye on the watering. If you got a lot of hot sunny days, you may want to water these maybe once or twice a week. So I went and picked up my watering can. You just want to, you know, just lightly water in your potatoes. We're going to be getting some rain tonight, so I'm just going to give them a light watering. But you know, work your way down the trench and, you know, works out any air pockets in the soil. So anyhow, I just want to thank you for joining me today. It's always fun being out here in the garden. It's nice and peaceful and relaxing, and I always think it's very therapeutic. Getting away from the business of life and being out here, it's a lot of fun being around the birds and stuff. But anyhow, you know, I try to spend a lot of time up front before I do these videos, educating myself as much as I can so I can share this information with my viewers. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I just want to thank you for joining me today. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.